Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Books, Kiss, and Purrs. My name is Leslie, and today we'll be discussing When Books Went to War by Molly Guptill Manning, published in 2014. This is nonfiction. It's about 267 pages, and we are reading this for my interview with the Vampire Inspired Readathon, where we're snooping onto the shelves of our beloved characters, reading their books and trying to figure out why they read the books that they read. And so right now we're covering Madeleine, and the prompt is survived World War II. And I have a lovely guest today, Keyuiana, to discuss this book. And their channel name is Sexy Lady, and they're going to tell you a little bit about their channel. Sorry about the noise.
Hi, I'm Keyuiana. Okay, so I mostly do like library hauls, library book sale hauls. I talk about books. I do a little bit of diamond painting. Sometimes I tell funny stories of that time I took a gummy, stuff like that. But I do sprints. So that's my channel.
Yes, you've been my Cookie Mayhem buddy.
Yes, Cookie Mayhem, which I've only read one book for Cookie. I've read other books, but only one technically counts as a Cookie book.
But you know what? That's progress.
Right. I got one rid of one.
One book you hadn't been reading, so
right.
You got it down. Before I continue, I say hello to the chat. Lynn, hey Lynn. Looking forward to your convo with Keyuiana. Thank you. Well, we both kind of scrambled. We read the book by the Harrison So what I'll do, instead of like the traditional like specific questions, I was thinking like maybe I'll just like read a little passage and we'll kind of discuss it from there.
Okay.
Because also, before I do that, what are your non-spoiler thoughts?
I don't know. This doesn't count as a spoiler, I only guess.
Yeah.
So,
although it's in the past, it's nonfiction, so yeah.
Well, I never really thought about them burning books in Germany for World War II. I never thought about it, but of course it makes perfect sense, but I just never just actually thought that, that was something that was happening. But of course, why wouldn't it, right? I don't I don't really get book burnings, because it's like you already have the book. It's out there. It's I guess I don't know if it's just it's supposed to be just symbolic, but I never really got book burnings. I don't know. It's just, like, because it's one of the passages in here where the H.G. Wells was talking about how like you can't really destroy art. Like, I mean, like you can't really destroy it, but once it's out there. Like the ideas are out there. So I don't know. I just never really thought of them actually burning books. But why wouldn't they want to get rid of, ideas that's, part of the whole thing, that's part of the whole thing that Hitler was trying to accomplish. Of course, get rid of these ideas. But
yeah. No, I like that. Is like a great spot to start at, because it's something that we know that happens in history. But I like that we're reading this book, and then it gives us a chance to dig into the why, because or else I would never have thought to dig deeper into that, So I like that. All right, so I'll read from page like a little bit of 4 and 5.
Okay.
It says, Helen Keller wrote an impassioned letter to the student body of Germany, expressing her shock and disbelief that the birthplace of the printing press had become a crematory for this invention's posterity. History has taught you nothing if you think you can kill ideas, she scolded. Tyrants have tried to do that often before, and the ideas have risen up in their might and destroyed them. You can burn my books and the books of the best minds in Europe, but the ideas in them have seeped through a million channels and will continue to quicken others' minds. Like, I kind of thought that was like a great idea. Like, they're trying to do, like, I guess what you're saying is like they're burning something physically, but this, it'll carry on, like as long as there's humanity, it'll carry on and art will carry on. And I thought that was like just really beautiful.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep. I'll start that. I'll tab that page too. That's where the L.G. Wells thing. I mean H.G. Wells.
Yeah.
Because once one person has read it, they carry with them that story, and they are going to have a little bit of that inside of them, and then as they're talking to other people, then they're spreading that story. So the ideas are there, the ideas are out there. You just got rid of that book. It's just not gone forever. As long as one person has consumed it, it's still there.
Yeah. And I think that's really beautiful, because that's like every reader carries that story, is what you're saying, which is actually, it's really beautiful. Assessment of you could burn the thing physically, but it's always going to exist, in their minds. I love that. Lynn says, I'm currently reading The Master and Margarita, by Mikhail Bulgakov. I've had that book on my shelf. I haven't read it yet.
Well, let me look for that. Let me add that. Yeah.
It's translated literature, and I hear it's really good. It's like one of those beloved classics. I still have not read it yet, though. It too relates to literary repression, from what I understand. Bulgakov. I know I'm saying his name wrong. Bulgakov. I'm butchering his last name. His name was repressed under Stalin.
Okay.
I understood.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Ooh. About 10 other people want to read it. Okay.
I kind of think it's within the
that goes along
the genre you like,
Yeah, okay. That sounds interesting. We'll go with that. Okay. Let me see. All right. I got it on my what to read. It's fantastical. Okay. Is it a little so I know it's nonfiction, but are there is it fantastical elements, or is it, can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Here, you know what? While I'm at it, I'll look it up. I'm gonna look up the
Okay, let's see. It seems to it. Maybe
it's fiction with fantasy elements. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. It says. Nothing in the whole of literature compares to Master and Margarita. One spring afternoon, the devil, trailing fire and chaos in his wake, weaves himself out of the shadows and into Moscow. Mikhail's fantastical, funny, and devastating satire of Soviet life combines two distinct yet interwoven parts, one set in contemporary Moscow, the other in ancient Jerusalem. Each part is brimming with historical imagery, frightful and wonderful characters, written during the darkest days of Stalin's reign, and finally published in 1967. So yeah, but I hear good things. You see, went 4.5 stars.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I was listening to you, but
No, it's all right. I was looking off screen anyways. I know how it is. I have my 2 cats and my daughter in the other room, and I'm like, don't come through that door.
It's like they don't want anything until you start filming, and then everybody has all the questions for you. I'm like, I need a sign or something.
That wouldn't work, I'm sure. Same thing with my daughter.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't.
Just started it, but loving it so far.
Okay.
I read Daubered by Anne Charney for this tag and loved it as much as you can love real life horrific things. Okay, that's another one I have to check out.
I don't know if I'm nervous to look that one up. I don't know about something horrific.
But yeah, I'm glad that you read that, Lynn. I'm gonna have to check it out. You always have great picks, anyways. Lynn also reads a lot of nonfiction and historical literature.
Huh. Wait, I don't think that's the right book. Okay, no, it's not. Pulled up something different.
Oh, understood. Okay, so it's kind of this other book. It's kind of like Anne Frank's story, similar. I hear you.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because it's survival. I get that.
Which I've never read The Diary of Anne Frank.
No, I didn't have to in school either, which is odd. Yeah,
I've never read it at all. I'm like, I know most people usually have to, but I guess I just was never in a class where I had to read it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, same.
But maybe I should. I'm definitely gonna do that because I do have an idea to go back and read the stuff that, like the assigned books that most people are like assigned that I've never read. So I do have. I think I might end up doing that. I have an idea for that as a series.
That would be great. Yeah, stepping into the classroom or something. Yeah, I like that.
I might do that. Looking into it.
Okay, so then from page 7, there's talking about this like replacing of education. So education was reorganized to reflect Hitler's ideology. On the same day as the Berlin book burning, Dr. Wilhelm Frick, Germany's Minister of the Interior, lectured German school administrators on changes to the education system. So I feel like they're framing it like first like a removal or their attempt to remove like ideas, and I feel like now changing the education system is like a way to like start to replace ideas, if that makes any sense. It's kind of like
sounds like what they're doing here.
Yes, thank you for saying it. That's literally what they do now. And I feel like there's not enough alarm bells going on. And this seems to be like we're seeing the framework that I feel like the current administration is using to do what they're doing.
With the banning of the books and then all the attacks on the libraries and all of the attacks on just things that are being taught, like critical race theory, which isn't even taught in like, I don't think it's even taught until like college, or it might be law school if I'm not mistaken. But critical race theory is not taught to like.
It's not standard
yet. Yeah. And just different things that they're just like eliminating from the schools. A lot of schools too, and it's not even, this is something that's been going, a lot of like the arts, the arts are being attacked a lot. And it's like they don't want to have those classes in there, but you need all of them. You need the arts. It helps with everything, the math, all of that is all, it all works together. But yeah,
that's expression, right? It's like you're getting all this knowledge all the time in classes with like math and English and all these things, and I feel like art is just like like an extension and expression of
Mhm.
all those other facets, you know.
Part of it, yeah, part of it, but also, and I don't know how to like explain to, but um, is I don't know how to I don't know how to express
Oh,
it,
take
but
your time.
you do need because the I need to think about but like you do need like I used to work with like an elementary school teacher. I used to be like a TA and everything. But it's not it helps with just your spatial awareness, math, just it's not just when we think of like things like art, PE and things like that, it's not only just I don't even know. I don't even know. It's just more than just what it is on the surface. It's not just like an elective for fun.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
No, I hear you. No, I love hearing that. And also take your time. This is thing. Um, yeah, like my daughter's school, again, like it's public school. She got on lottery, so there's no guarantee she was even going to get in. And I can't afford to send her to like an arts school. Um, but she got into this public school that has an arts program. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like been a wild ride of seeing these kids like express themselves
Mhm.
and just seeing like they're just these goofy kids, but they have all these different like facets to themselves. And you know, they just have an opportunity to like bond and express themselves. And that doesn't necessarily means that they're going to go into to arts, but like
Mhm.
for instance, Elise was telling me that like this is like a couple of years ago, someone graduated, and although they're going to school for like engineering or whatnot, because they're also part of like church, they also play like what do you call it, instruments during service. And oh, that's a nice way that like when you take a part of the arts, he
Mhm.
takes that and then like he can then like participate with his community, right, in a different way outside of school. And so
Mhm.
it's like art is like kind of like what you're saying, like art is more than just like that one thing. It's branching out. You can't like these stories, you carry the stories with you, and then you connect with community. There's all these different elements to just than something just being surface level art, you know, which I really like.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
good morning, Lily Eve. Thanks for being here.
Mhm. Yeah, let me see. Mhm. I
Um,
just yeah, but yeah, they are yeah, they have to remove the books that they found to be like harmful,
yeah,
like what they're banning and stuff. Then they want to replace it with what they think is okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a rule. It's a playbook.
yeah.
He's yeah, they definitely have a playbook of what they're doing.
So on page 7, it says, once a nation fell to Germany, great care was taken to refashion that country's concept of culture, history, literature, art, media, and entertainment in an effort to solidify and reinforce Hitler's power. Often the first cultural pillar to be toppled was a library.
Mm.
And I found that like interesting that of all the things, because I feel like well, let me ask you, because the library seems to be the first cultural pillar to be
Mhm.
toppled, what do you think that says about the library?
So it mean like that they know that how valuable it is to people, and they know okay, this is where we're going to make the most impact. This is where people are. This is where they are being helped. These are where ideas are being, formed and stuff like this. So we have to, if we want to push our agenda, then we need to get rid of anything that goes against our agenda and encourages free thinking. And, and I think also too, like, when you think about libraries now and how they've evolved and how many services they offer, it's it's another place for resources.
Yeah.
So if you're in power and you want to remain in power, maybe you make yourself the only place that has resources.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I'm sure libraries were pretty much functioning, the same from their inception. But, of course, with technology, we have, more things. But I'm sure they were a place for resources, even in the 30s, even in the 1930s.
There's a book I read. It was called Library of Fragile History, and they kind of talk about like the history of libraries, and which I never really thought about. I only think about libraries in like how they exist right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like, I forgot how many books it takes to be considered like a library. So I guess
1,000.
1,000. Okay, so 1,000.
For a home library. I know it's 1,000.
I'm not there yet. But like how, so people could have libraries at home, right? Like a private library. Mm-hmm. And then like, how even that was dangerous, right? Like what one has in their own home must reflect whatever like the political and religious sphere want us to think. And how like it took a long time for the public library to come to form. And when it did, it just seems like it's been a fragile institution ever since, because it relies on like funding, right? Like public funding. And getting back to what you're saying, I feel like so I'm like, okay, well then that means there was an evolution between becoming private, public, and then becoming this community resource that we know that it is today. And like I don't know if you've ever been, because I know you're kind of far off, but there's the Grand Central Library in Los Angeles. It's like, it's really huge, and it's like I think there's like 3 or 4 levels, like from the ground level, and then there's like 3 levels below.
Oh wow.
Yes, it's really huge. But they also have I want to say it's called Octavia's Lab. Yeah, after Octavia E. Butler.
I've heard. I think Bree went there. Bree Sheree. I think she went. I think she went. I think her and oh my goodness, I can't remember. But I think she went. But I no, I haven't been. But 3 wow. Okay.
It's worth a visit. It's really huge. But so that one is for like, they have different technological resources. There's also a center in case anyone wants to learn to read, like adults that want to learn to read. And that's I think I'm going off on a tangent, but that's like an extension of like honoring Octavia E. Butler, because she frequented there. But also just the idea that like it started out as like someone just owning books, right? And then it turned out to be something like of a larger community and like cultural importance, I guess. Not just for there, but like libraries overall. So that's interesting that it's for this time period in history. I feel like it's not just tearing down like access to books, but it's kind of tearing down like an access point for community, I guess.
So this is making me think of another book. Have you ever read The Bookwoman's Daughter? Wait, that's not that's the second one.
I haven't read it yet.
The Bookwoman of I got it. So good. I feel like it was Appalachia. No, that wasn't the name of it. Hold on.
Take your time.
Woman. Okay, The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Oh, it was so good. Okay, I gave it 5 stars by Kim Michelle Richardson, right? And so there were people in Kentucky that were blue. This like I believe they had some kind of genetic something going on, and their skin appeared blue. And these are real, really this real. Okay, but this story is fiction, but but real.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They really were blue people, and so she was blue, and she was able to become like kind of like a traveling librarian, kind of. So this was like in the 1800s. So she had these books, and she would have her mule and pack her mule up and go and deliver books. But you would see she would come in contact with, like, there was this one woman who was like being abused, and then she would see like kids, and they were like so poor and stuff. But she was able to get books into their hands, and she was able to like get them out of, if only to get them out of their, their, be taken away, from their lives, through a book, if only to do that. But, it was able to, give them ideas like, oh, the world could be different, getting out of here. But it's a really good, but this is what's making me think about that, because she would make books accessible to people who would not be able to get them.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No,
so this is making me think of that. And I had never thought about it. Well, while reading it, I didn't think about that. But I was like, oh, yeah.
I wrote it down.
It was really good. I gave it 5 stars. And then I read the second one too.
What did you think about the second one?
The second one, it was her daughter. Was it her daughter? Yeah, it says the bookwoman's daughter. I like the second one too, but I really the first one, I think I don't know if I gave the second one 4 stars or 5 stars, but I enjoyed them both.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. I'm definitely gonna check it out. Why were they blue? Did they lack like an
It was some kind of, it didn't explain why she was blue, but let me see. They had, let me see, I think it was, hold on. People of Kentucky. If I could spell. People of, and then she even like comes across this doctor who is trying to like cure her. It says the Fugates, commonly known as the blue people of Kentucky. Okay, it was a genetic trait. They had it was a blood disorder.
Okay.
It was let me see, a recessive gene. Okay, it was the family. Let me see. They had 9 kids. And it says the descendants of the gene continue to live near Troublesome Creek. That was the setting.
That's interesting.
Let me see. Like, yeah. Let me see. Let me find the images. This looks like I'm going to find a better image. Oh, this is a picture. Hold on. I don't know if you could see that.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out. Lynn says, "Oh, my library has that book. I'll be checking it out here."
It's really good. It was really good.
I read 99% of my book from the library. Oh my goodness! Tell them to get more books. That's a lot of books.
We're gonna check out a new library. Well, a new to us library today. And
cool.
We're going to go after this. My daughter, there's this big 2-story library, and I had saw it when we went to my daughter's competition last week. We went like around the corner. I see this big ass library, and I was like, and then she goes, "We should go." So, so we're going to check it out today.
That sounds cool.
So.
All right. Let me see. Where should I start?
Okay, you were on page 7.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hop on over to page 79. Grab a book, Joe, and keep going.
Okay.
And talk about the book selection. So the main consideration in book selection was variety. The goal was for each series to consist of a range of titles, so there would be a book to fit the taste of every man.
Mm.
The most popular genre was contemporary fiction. Almost 20% of the selection fell under that category, followed by historical novels, mysteries, books of humor, and westerns. And it kind
Mm.
of goes on from there. So, actually, I should probably preface this. So, in the book, in case anybody hasn't read the book, in the book, what happens was like at a time of war, um, these what do you want to say? People were trying to figure out ways to make books accessible to men that were on the ground, military men, and
Mhm.
so they like made books, but like almost like pamphlets, like these rectangular
Mhm.
pamphlets, and they would staple them because like they're out in like some rough terrain. So sometimes like these insects would eat the glue, so they would
Mhm.
use staples, and they turn like yeah, the writing was kind of like long and short, and
Mhm.
so and like thinly put together pamphlets, paperback, so that um, men could actually just put the books in their pocket. They were
Mhm.
literally pocket books, which is a
Yeah.
kind of cool facts to figure out. And
Mhm.
so we were trying to also figure out like, okay, what kind of books are, what kind of variety are we going to put out for the men? And so I was kind
Mhm.
of wondering, like, in terms of genre, what is the one that like you feel gives you like a morale boost?
um. Hmm. Well, I mean, okay. So, what would give me a morale boost? I probably, if I were like a soldier, I probably would not. But for me, it would be romance. But I would not probably want to read like romance or like if I'm like away at war.
You never know. Maybe that's what's going to give you like, yeah, that seems like a joyful thing to read.
Mhm. Because I don't know, I just because most of the romance they follow a format, they follow a clear pattern, even if it's whether it's insta love or whether it's um friends to lovers, whatever. They follow a pattern. Boy meets girl. Either maybe they get along right away, maybe they don't, but they end up. It's going to be a part where they're together, right? And then they might even do a third act breakup, but most of the time, it's going to be a happy ending, and
Yeah.
so you know what you're going to get. Even sometimes, something happens, and it might be a happy for now, but you generally know this is going to leave me with a happy feeling. And I can pretty I like that comfort in the familiarity of that this is gonna they're gonna end up together, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I like
I
that.
think that's a good choice. I was also thinking of like children's books, children's classics. I love
Hmm.
Amelia Bedelia. I just, I know it'd be like really short, so it probably wouldn't make any sense because, you want to read
They're
and
saying
everything.
Amelia Bedelia was autistic. Because she's so literal. They're like our artistic queen. I saw something on there and they're saying
Yeah, because she's
it's
so
like
literal. I love that. I also found that like relatable the way that like sometimes I'll have a conversation and the way I'm like translate and taking the information versus like what the person meant is like totally different.
uh-huh.
So I
That
like that.
and I think that's why with me I struggle with poetry because I sometimes can't. I'm taking what you're saying at like face value.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they mean this. Sometimes so when it's with poetry and it could be like so many like interpretations or like what did they mean by this? And sometimes I like struggle with that. And even sometimes I struggle with magical realism sometimes because I'm
Mhm.
like, what is happening? Are they really seeing that or not? It's just me. That's just me. Maybe that's why I like nonfiction sometimes.
Yeah. You know what you're getting, what they mean. Yeah. No, I know. I really like that. That's stout. But yeah, I was gonna share it. Actually, let me go to the chat and then I'll share before I forget. Where was I? Margaret's here.
Hi,
Hey,
hello.
Francie. We like a morale boost. Yeah, everyone, feel free to answer the question, like, if what genre do you gravitate towards for like a morale boost?
Mm-hmm.
Adding annotations to Stargraph all morning after posting reviews all night. Oh, good.
Okay.
Good for you. You're getting it done. Hey, Jean. You never know. Predictable. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Margaret's in the house. Yes.
But on the other hand, I also like sometimes when it's unpredictable. Sometimes I like and this is more of a just a what is the word? Not a I like an unreliable narrator.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Me too. Me
But
too.
But for a morale boost, definitely a romance because I know I'm gonna get a good happy ending, and yeah.
I like an unreliable narrator because sometimes I like dig into like, or maybe I'll feel so passionate about like a particular take, and then I have to kind of dismantle that, right? Because that might not even be true. So yeah, I like that too.
No, I love it, and I'm like, oh, okay. When I get, I'm like, okay, I didn't see that coming.
Margaret says no silly third act.
You don't like the third act, yeah. Sometimes they're unnecessary, and it's just it's sometimes it's just like, okay, just talk to each other because that could have been avoided. You guys are adults. Talk to each other. But
That's so funny. Yeah, I get it. I'm almost as bad as Eva, flying off the handle with comments. That's bad. Romances or mystery for me. Okay, yeah. I think a good crime novel, or I think romance is good too, but also like a good children's book, just to kind of, I think, kind of like settle my mind, I guess. Like the chaos of things might be kind of like a nice choice. Oh, and then also, and speaking of classics, actually, before I go to that, I'll share, because I looked it up. So was it here? Okay, so here it is. I looked because I was like trying to figure out what did they look like.
Yeah, you know what I did? I kind of wanted to watch reviews too, also of this book.
Yeah.
And I found a guy who had some of the what are they called? The small ones. The art.
Yeah. She keeps saying ASE. I forget what the
yeah.
American Service Editions.
Yes, he had some. Cause I was like, I want to see what they look like, and he had the video's about like 5 years old, but he had some, and they were kind of small and cute, and I was like,
yeah, they're like, there's like little, I don't know, they just remind me of like pamphlets. They're so like tiny, but yeah, they're all beaten up, but and the fact that they like survived.
That's what I was wondering, because yeah, they're almost 100 years old now.
Yeah,
80 years old or something. I bet that's worth, not that I would want to sell it, but that's probably worth some money if you have some.
Yeah. Even this, oh yeah, and then we can see how it's kind of written like in column form. Because apparently that was like an easier, I think they talk about like this accessibility of like reading that way. Which is kind of interesting.
Now it made me want to read that, A Tree Grows.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that.
I had to add that because I was like, well, they keep talking about it, so let me add that.
Yeah, that's another one that a lot of people read in school, but I never read. Was that one? But yeah. Okay, so going on to read about the format of American Service editions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read this. It's kind of long. I think I'll try to chop it up. Okay. Authors whose books were selected as ASEs were rewarded with a loyal readership of millions of men. Word spread quickly about the titles that were perennial favorites, even reaching the home front of F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, which was written in 1925, was considered a failure during Fitzgerald's lifetime. But when his but when this book was printed as an ASE in October of 1945, it won the hearts of an army of men. Their praise reverberated back home, and The Great Gatsby was rescued from obscurity and has since become an American literary classic, which I thought was wild to find out that that's another book that's like
That's why.
required reading.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole reason
I
that
read that.
read it is because of the war.
Yeah. And you said you haven't read it?
No, actually, no, I did in school, but I wasn't really into The Great Gatsby.
I wasn't either.
Yeah, I was kind of like, so it's your fault. It's World War II.
It's their fault.
But,
and thinking about it now, I could see the appeal of a soldier, because I could see the appeal of The Great Gatsby, because I could see, like, they probably would picture themselves as Gatsby coming back, and he's now successful and rich, coming back to get that girl that, was like out of his league. I could kind of see that as an appeal.
yeah. But
Why
because
that might
you're saying there's an element of romance there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really packaged as a romance.
It's not, no. Mm-hmm.
At the time, it's probably more socially acceptable.
It's their fault. This is why I had to read The Great Gatsby in school. I'm blaming them. When I heard that, I was just like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I never heard an explanation about, like, I understand there's certain books we read in school, but we don't really know the why behind it.
Yeah.
And this is like the first time we're getting a why.
Mm-hmm.
To why are we reading this specific book? And it's like, wow, it all came down to the war and like needing a variety for the men to read during war. I just thought that was fascinating.
Mm-hmm. And then I was also thinking about, because when they were talking about like the titles and everything, of course back then I wouldn't expect any diversity, but it's just like, I don't know, just trying to think of what these men might like. I don't know. It just kind of, I was like, I don't know. They were like telling the people, because people were just kind of like giving, first they were just like donating books, and they were just kind of like giving how to knit, how to, and just kind of other stories. And they were like, yeah, but you got to think about what these soldiers would want. And I was just like,
yeah,
we have to think about men all the time. Enough. But I get it. But I'm just like, oh, here we go. Here we go. Decenter men, y'all.
Oh my god, that's so funny. But also, The Great Gatsby being because the character was like in the military at some point, right?
I can't remember. He might have been. I can't remember.
I think so.
I know it was a big deal because he came into money. So I know that was a big deal of him being new money.
Yeah.
But he might have been a soldier.
You said the right thing because it's setting Margaret off. Hold on, let me catch up.
Decent interview. And I don't know. Were there women in, babe, was 6888, was that World War II? They were doing the mill, right?
Yeah, they were doing the mill.
There have to be some women in the Military, right? I don't I don't know too much about World War II, but there had to be some women floating around.
That's got to be another book we read. Martha, I read it after school, pre-booktube. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Another crap byproduct.
I was so disappointed because you hear about the books that you're gonna read and stuff, and then when I finally read it, I was like, this is it, the great guess. This is the book, y'all. I was like, it's okay. I was like, why are we reading this?
Yeah.
But people love it, so.
I was shown a video of prisoners quilting by the algo. So what do they know?
Yeah. They might have wanted a quilting book. Who knows? They got nothing but time sometimes.
That's true. I guess I was thinking about what can they carry with them, and they probably couldn't.
Yeah,
probably get it.
Well, yeah, that makes sense too. They probably like
Decenterman. There it is. Critical.
Oh, that's World War I. Oh, okay.
It was World War II. Hi, folks. Cool.
Oh, okay. Okay, 6 AAA. Okay, was World. Okay, World War II. So there were some women, even though they were doing like. Did you watch the 6 AAA?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, go watch it. I recommend, and I don't really recommend Tyler Perry, but
that's what I was hearing.
I wouldn't say he probably had some other writers. He had to have some help on this because this was not a Tyler. So it was good, but there were women.
Yeah,
and so there were women. There was a presence, and I know it's not like 50-50, but there was a female presence. So
there was. I think my sister. I forgot. I feel like we went to go in the theater. I think to go see I Can Do Bad All by Myself.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Tyler Perry. Anyways, so yeah, I've seen some Tyler Perry, but everybody, that was like the one thing everybody was saying. She's like that, like even if you don't like Tyler Perry, go see this.
Yeah. Check it out.
Mm-hmm. Lane says, I read the collected short stories of F. Scott Fitzgerald. To me, it was all the same themes as The Great Gatsby, and the bigotry in each story was so there. Okay, that's interesting.
Okay.
Also there, yeah. I hear you. Okay. So we're like, maybe not. we should. Just checked. Oh, Critical Thinker was faster. yeah. Great Gatsby.
Okay, Great Gatsby was World War I. So he was
reading about one in World War II. Okay, understood.
Okay, got it. Okay, that makes even more sense.
Yeah.
Than why the soldiers are eating it up. Yeah, go watch it. It's on Netflix. It was really good. It's a little bit of romance in there too, but the romance is a side. It's not the main plot of the movie.
Yeah. But, there's a bunch of great actresses in there too. I just haven't had.
Oh yeah. What's her name? Who does the lip thing? Oh my God.
Carrie Washington. Isn't Kerry Washington in it?
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. Kerry Washington does the lip thing. I love her. I started watching Scandal again, and I was like,
Scandal's so good. She's so good. Woman of the by Sandra is good too. Let me write this. I'm writing this down. Woman of the
Okay. I'm supposed to be reducing my TBR, not growing. Let me see. Okay. But it did make me want to read A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, so I did that.
Yeah. Margaret says, not as much gender effect in United States in World War I. I think much more mass mobilization for us in World War II. It's on my list, but I'm rarely on there. Not until after you told me the acronym last night. Basically reading the hardest books on your show.
Oh, the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do?
Yeah. I can never remember that. Yeah, you got it.
That's QWERTY. It's so funny because when we started Kooky and I was like following Cardi. I had already signed up for that reading challenge, but I didn't know who she was as like a YouTuber. And I was like, I already signed up for your challenge. I think I got 1% done on her reading challenge.
Again, you're cracking on. The lip thing. How is that? The lip thing is hilarious and true.
No, she does. I'm like, girl, who was your coach? And I read her memoir. Who was your coach who told you to do that with your lip in every movie? I love her. But
every time I see her in a movie now.
And you know who else does that, but not on such. You know who else kind of does a lot of face acting? Homegirl from Handmaid's Tale.
The main actress?
Yeah.
I can't think of her name.
Emily Elizabeth. What's her Elizabeth?
Yeah, you're right. Elizabeth something.
Her.
yeah.
She does a lot of face. Not a lot. She does face. That made so frustrated me because Elizabeth Moss. I'm like, can we? Because it'll be like on her face for like 30 seconds. I'm like, can we? I'm tired of looking at your face. Which is, I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but
no, I love it.
There was this woman during these times, she was at a concentration camp, and I can't remember her name. She was like terrible. She was, she was one of the people helping them out, but Elizabeth Moss looks just like her. And they were like, she could play her in the movie. I gotta find out who that lady was, but I'll find out. I'll find out now.
They're over here blasting this.
Yes,
you got everybody acting up.
It's a new Claire James cry face. But see, it's a thing. So now you know that it's not just me.
Moss sometimes looks like a ramen noodle. Oh my god.
I'm gonna find that lady. She was a terrible person. She did some terrible crimes.
You just look it up and you'll know what I'm saying. Oh my god.
Oh god. I'm gonna find it. And then people were like, oh my god, she looks like her. She could play her. Who looks like, I don't know.
I can't find it right now, but I know which one you're talking about. Oh my god, that's so funny. Next time I see it, Margaret, I'll take a photo and I'll send it to you.
Irma Grese, Grese. Okay, I'm pulling her up.
Okay. Oh yeah, I've seen that. But yeah. I see what you're saying.
Okay,
it's funny.
Yes. But yeah, she looks just. I'm gonna find it. Literally searched woman during the Holocaust who looks like Elizabeth.
That comes up. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my god, yeah. She looks like she could fight. Oh. But that's her.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow.
Ramen noodle icon. That's what the emoji, the smiley face. Oh. Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna go on and read on to
sure.
Page
Sorry for sidetrack.
No, I love it. No, this is why I enjoy doing this. So this is Guts, Valor, Extreme Bravery from page 103. Books, however, did provide a catharsis for many men. This intangible response becomes evident by the reaction of servicemen to certain books. One unlikely author to earn wide appeal was Catherine Ann Porter. Her short stories, delicately exposed private, deeply personal experiences and emotions that tended to give readers the impression that she understood their innermost thoughts and feelings. Hundreds of men wrote to her after reading her American Service editions. One man treasured her short story collection so much that he carried his copy with him throughout the war and kept it for his trip home. And he, quote, inching back eastward towards the long wastes of the Pacific toward discharge and home, I've had an opportunity once more to read some of your stories in the paper-bound Armed Service edition. We can read better with leisure and the perspective of long absence under the conditions. Thus, I've appreciated your writing more than ever before. And so I just like that people are finding like great comfort in it. And it's almost like they didn't want to let it go. Is there a book that you just feels like your comfort book that you're like, what's the book you're always going to keep with you?
What's the book that I don't know how comforting it is, but one that I'm always going to keep is probably, I've talked about this, but like Water for Chocolate.
Okay, I still haven't read that.
I'm always going to keep this one. Always.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Okay, so she it's a lady named Tita, and she has like 3 sisters, I believe, and their mom. I think their dad died or something. But she meets this young man, and you know, they like want to get married. They love each other. But in their tradition or their I don't know, their family, their tradition, whatever, the youngest daughter has to take care of the mom. Like, she can't get married. She has to take care of the mom. And so she wants to marry this young man, and her mom's like, you can't marry him. You have to take care of me until I'm old, till I die. But he can marry her sister. Mm-hmm. Like, she can get married. She's of marrying age, whatever. So he marries the sister to be close to her. Mm-hmm. And then she's also like, I guess they have like money or something, because she like is like growing up around like the cook, the chef, I mean, you know, the cook of the family, and like she's learning how to cook and everything. So eventually she takes over the cooking for the family, but all her emotions go into what she's cooking. So the mom, this bitch, made her cook the wedding food and make the cake and all the wedding food for the wedding of her sister to her love. And like she's crying like into the cake batter, and then everybody starts eating the cake and they start feeling the emotions, and it's just like, oh, and there's recipes in here too. I mean, I'm not gonna make any of them, but
you're so funny. You're like,
I'm not gonna cook any of that. No, because it's like quail with like rose petals and stuff, you know. But I'm not gonna ever get rid of that. But no, read it and watch it too. I have the movie too. Watch it too, which we watched in school, and I'm trying to wonder why we were watching that in school.
Yeah, it was appropriate.
Yeah, I'm like, why are we watching this?
It's better than watching The Great Gatsby. So,
which we watched. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting how that got approved. Sounds good to me, though. That teacher was a rebel then.
Because there's one part. Okay, so like when they're like at the wedding or whatever, and everyone's no, I don't know if that was at the wedding, but she was cooking something, and like she saw him and he's looking at her and they're looking at each other like lustful and stuff.
Mhm.
And so she's getting all like worked up, right? So she's cooking something and the family eats it and everybody's getting like turned on. And the daughter, one of the other daughters, she gets hot. She takes like all her clothes off and like runs outside, and there's like this soldier coming by and he just like scoops her up on the horse and she's like naked. Why were we watching that in school? What are we watching in school? Everybody's eating. They're like,
That's so funny. Oh my
sorry.
God. That's hilarious. I love that. I love that.
So I hope I sold this book to you.
Yeah, you did. I love reading books, especially if they have like food in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's like one of those books I hear about a lot, and I just haven't read it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what's her name? Selma Hayek. She's not going to be in it, but I think she like produced a remake of it that's coming out of that
Oh,
book.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's coming out.
okay.
I'll try to look
Okay.
the details and I'll
Let me
send it
see.
to you.
Yeah, I love when there's books with food. And then, like I said, even if they have a recipe, which I'm not gonna make, I'm like, okay, that's kind of a little cool thing.
Laura Escobar. Oh yeah. That book is so sensual. You can
Yeah.
almost taste the food and feel caressed. And then you're watching that in class. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I need to read Mistress of Spice. Sounds like a similar food heavy magic tale. Okay, cool. Mistress of Spice. Look that up. Mistress of Spice. Okay.
What page are we on? Or what about the guy when they were one of the soldiers was reading something,
Yeah.
and I guess it made him cry, and he felt like he never could cry. But when he was reading that book, he kind of like put the cover. He was healing. He was
Yeah.
injured, and he put the cover over him, and he was like, I could finally cry and like release my,
Yeah.
emotions and stuff. And that part struck with me because I was like, you know what? Yeah, they're probably told, they have to be like these tough soldiers all the time, and be a manly man, and men don't cry, but they're in war. They're seeing their friends die. He's injured. I think he lost a leg, and we need to feel our emotions.
Yeah. I'm sure there's like during such a traumatic time, there's like a level of like just dissociating.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, doing that probably gives him a chance to like come back in himself and like have that
Mm-hmm.
release. I mean, terrible, but also beautiful that, yeah, a book could make him feel that.
And even if he couldn't say, yeah, I'm crying because my life sucks, I lost my leg, he could at least blame it on the story.
Yeah.
Not that he, but I mean, because you know how they do when boys and men cry and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a part that stuck out with me.
Yeah. Honey Butter Pig Bread by Francesca Equiasi. Oh yeah, I read that book. Was quite eccentric. Yeah, that's like there's a lot of like I don't know how to explain it. I feel like there's not like not necessarily like a lot happening because it's more about meditating on what's going on. And one of the characters is I think a baker or a cook or something like a chef. So there's a lot of baking and meditating on things. So there's like a lot of eating of food. But I love that book. I really like that.
Okay.
I guess the hint is in the title. Yeah. And also the author, I watched an interview with the author. She said the reason why she chose that name was she was just trying to figure out what ingredients she kind of like kept bringing up and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like how she came up with the
wow. Okay.
But
okay.
Yeah. And so then we go on to find out that Betty Smith's A Tree Grows in Brooklyn was perhaps the most popular What was it called? American. I wrote it down because I keep forgetting the dang time.
Mm-hmm.
American Service Edition was
Mm-hmm.
perhaps the most popular of them all. It provided such a vivid account of childhood that many men felt as though Smith were writing about theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when word spread that Smith had published an essay, Who Died, that personalized the thousands of Normandy casualties, servicemen wrote to her begging for a copy. Smith received a steady stream of letters from men around the world thanking her for the efforts her writing had on them. And then I also like that they kind of went on to say that, like, I don't know if it was this author or another author, but
Mm-hmm.
that they was received like hundreds of letters from these military guys. And then one of the authors, I don't know if it's the same author or a different one, but gave a photograph of themselves like to that. I'll let you speak about that if you want.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't have. I was just like, I remember that part. Yeah, yeah. Remember that one of them. I guess he had the picture of the author, and it just got. He was saying this, and just me thinking of reading her book, and then thinking of my wife back at home, and I think they ended up naming their daughter after this author.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Just,
got
you
it.
know, I know, I bet when these authors, they're writing their books, they never think, I mean, of course you want people to connect with your story, but you never know what kind of impact it's going to make on somebody. And so, because, this is your baby, and you hope people are going to resonate with it and everything. But I think it had to be just such a great feeling getting these letters from people and soldiers, and saying how your book like helped them get through war. Like, that's
Yeah.
gotta be just amazing, you know?
Yeah. And to see the impact that they were like, I'm gonna pick up a paper or like a paper and a pen or whatever
Mm-hmm.
and send a letter. Yeah, I thought that was like really beautiful.
Yeah, and they were saying a lot of the soldiers, they hadn't read a book since like school or
Yeah.
something, and then it turned them into readers and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Who was
okay.
it? Oh yeah, it was Betty Smith. So the author of A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, Betty Smith, is the one who sent photographs of herself.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. And then speaking of food, uh, there's also Rosemary Taylor's Chicken Every Sunday was another surprise favorite among the men. The narrator of Chicken Every Sunday is an adolescent girl who gives an amusing account of her mother's experience running a busy boarding house, appeasing a long list of zany characters and serving mouth-watering dinner each night. Its
Mm.
wholesomeness and wit captured everyday happenings with such feeling that many servicemen could not help but grow sentimental. Sentimental.
Mm.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's like another instance of like reading about food, and you figured like these men, who knows, like the rations that they have to eat day in and day out.
Mhm.
It's not the same as being home and the experiences they have with um, food. So that's got to be like a great connector as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I would. Yeah, on first thought, I would think that would make people like even more homesick. But it's probably they. I guess they had a reaction where like it was good to get a slice of what life was like back home and everything. And so I guess they didn't feel. I guess it made them feel better.
Yeah,
So that was
yeah,
that was good. I would think it was the opposite.
yeah. Let me see.
And I have to say that most movies set in a boarding house are pretty good too.
Yeah,
I can't think of one where you have like all these strangers coming in and out. Yeah, most movies work good too. Mhm. You know what?
interesting.
We might have to go back to those times Because
Oh, I hope not.
we might have to go back to times people are gonna probably have to take in roomers and boarders and stuff like that, because with the way housing is going,
Yeah.
especially out here, man. We were looking at homes. We're already seeing more multi-generational buying homes together, because I'm like, how are people buying houses? And whenever we go to look, there are like just multiple generations buying a house together.
Yeah, I don't even understand how. I don't know how it's possible. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Okay, go put on your socks and shoes. Go ahead.
We'll wrap this up, I promise.
You just saying all your words, huh?
No doubt, unless we have to do it ourselves, a lot of things don't seem as complicated as they are. And bringing back the respectable boarding house, they're great for mystery writers and diverse, affordable housing stock. Yeah, just read about them in Abundance Nonfiction Economy Policy. Critical Thinker says diversion from the gravity of war. Yes, definitely. Margaret says, yeah, my great grandparents did it to survive in Michigan. Bring it back. Was there anything you wanted to
sorry.
I was gonna say, is there anything else you want to add about this book before we wrap it up?
Let me see. I don't know. Let me see if I think I put my tabs on the same things that you talked about. Let me see.
Yeah, that's fine.
If I've done anything different, I just wanted to see what they look like too, and I wonder if anybody still had any. I think they showed. Let me see. They showed. Oh, there's I'm trying to think if they show the actual size of them. I don't know. I don't know. It also was kind of like interesting, and how they were like when they were deciding the things that they would print out, and I think there was a couple of books that they didn't want because they had, I guess, like a sex scene or something that they kind of like they wanted to like censor or something. Let me see. Strange Fruit. Okay, so it had sex scenes and they were considered indecent and they were banned in Boston. But I think maybe they didn't ban them. I think these were the really popular ones. Strange Fruit and Forever Amber. Yeah, I thought that was funny.
That is funny.
No, this was just really interesting because I just would have never. I didn't know that they had were created this whole program to send books to soldiers in war. I didn't even know that was a thing. And of course, librarians got it started. So shout out to librarians. And it's just things that you don't think about,
Yeah. And how everyone had to galvanize, and also like the role that like librarians played as well. And it all was pretty wild. It's like, I don't know, it was so good. I'm glad we read it together. Why do you think why do you think someone or even this character would have this book on their shelf?
Well, survival. I mean, it's just one of the things. I mean, we're not going through war or anything right now, but we need things in our lives to kind of get us through sometimes and make life a little bit more, better. why not have this book on your shelf to just remind you of just ways that people have um, found things to just make their everyday lives go a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, why? I don't know. Just
Um,
because
what books would you recommend the character?
now I don't know this character yet.
Just based on your shelf. So basically, reflecting on your shelf, what is a book
Uh
that,
huh.
especially if it's a character that survived World War II, what would you recommend them?
Um. Well, I mean, I think, of course, when you're surviving an event like in a war, or like a war, I mean, I think it's just kind of like good to kind of see, okay, what were other people thinking about at that time? What were people going through at that time? And you can remember how you felt, and also read about what other people were going through. I think it just will kind of like just, I don't know, it would just kind of help you like process the history that you were living through.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you can just be like, oh, I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
And I never thought of it from that side, or that kind of, I never thought how that person in that position would have processed that.
Yeah.
Because I know what my thoughts were, but I don't know what their thoughts were.
Yeah. Yeah. Critical thinker is saying Airbnb is a kind of boarding house. Yeah, especially from the neighbor's viewpoint.
Yeah, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
so, yeah. Mhm,
Yeah. That's so true.
mhm, mhm.
Margaret, traffic wise, yes, but low cost, not exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yay,
Mhm.
librarians. Yeah. Well, everyone, that was a wrap on this is like the finale of me digging into this like one particular character.
Mhm.
So thank you everyone that's gone on the reading journey with me. Thank you, Keyuiana,
You're
for reading
welcome.
Books Went to War. I'm so glad we read this because I've
Thanks for having me.
yes, so far this book for our buddy read, and then
Mhm.
the reader with Bree were like the books that I probably like the most. So I'm glad it just
Okay.
worked out that way.
Mhm.
Um, but yes, thank you everyone. Let me go say hello. So, where am I at? Yes, thank you so much. Thank you everyone. I hope you have a lovely weekend and just keep reading. Bye everyone.
Bye.